So in the first verse of Exodus chapter 3, already we are presented with a problem because we don't know where Mount Horeb is. If you go to a map in your Bible, and my NIV Bible does have a map of the area of Egypt, and I'll try to show that without damaging my Bible. It does show where they think Mount Sinai is. The problem with that is, as I read this, published in about 1980, there have been so many discoveries and so much archaeological finds that now we are really in question as to whether they have marked Mount Sinai in the proper place. If you look at the map behind me, and I wish I could zoom in, but there's nobody running the camera. But if you look at it, you've got Sinai that looks like this. Okay, it looks like two forks, and that comes off the Red Sea, and it shoots off toward Egypt, and one shoots away from Egypt toward Israel. As a matter of fact, if you follow the line straight up, it goes to the Dead Sea. Now, what they have done is they have placed Mount Sinai and Horeb right in the V, in between those two branches of the Red Sea. Their theory is that Moses left Egypt and crossed somewhere over here, went down into the Sinai Peninsula, and there he met the Lord at Mount Sinai. However, if you're reading the scriptures rather than other people's opinions, you will find that that's a very difficult thing to prove. There is no, zero, nada, zilch, no evidence archaeologically or even in topologically, geographically, that there is a Mount Sinai in the Sinai Peninsula. It just doesn't make sense. And one of the things that proves that is that there's not even room around that Mount Sinai for 600,000 men, let alone women and children, to gather. And so people began way back in the 1700s as they explored the land to say, this doesn't seem right. This can't be Mount Sinai. It doesn't fit the scriptures. But there is a reason why they placed it there. And it goes all the way back to the 3rd century when Constantine was the emperor. And his mother was quite a Christian, and she had many different visions and ideas of what things should be. And she had a vision that placed Mount Sinai in this vicinity of the Sinai Peninsula. And so forever after that, everyone thought Mount Sinai is in the Sinai Peninsula. It makes sense because it's called the Sinai Peninsula. Unfortunately, it's not true. There's no evidence whatsoever that Moses or the people of Israel ever encamped in that location. It's a nice tourist trap today. You can actually climb the mountain there and see the sunrise in the morning, but it is not. I repeat, it is not the Mount Sinai of the Bible. It doesn't fit any of the descriptions, doesn't fit any of it, especially in this passage right here. Where is Moses? He goes to his father-in-law. He's there for 40 years in Midian, and he is tending his flock. He goes clear across the desert to the far end, and there he's at Mount Horeb. Let me show you what it's all about. Mount Horeb and Sinai are not here, but they are on the opposite side of this branch of the Red Sea. They're over here. This is Midian. And Midian is where Jethro lived, and that's where Joseph lived for 40 years. So why in the world would Moses take all of his flock and go all the way up here and cross over and come back down and feed his flock over here? That's some 200 miles. That's a long distance to take your flock just to feed them. It is just not sensible. In your documents, I give you a pretty good description of this and the arguments for Mount Sinai being in Midian and not in the Sinai Peninsula, and I think you'll enjoy that. The Hope of Israel has written a 36-page document that really argues against the old idea of Mount Sinai in the Sinai Peninsula and puts it where it should be biblically, right in Midian, known as Mount Horeb and Mount Sinai. So I encourage you to get that document and read it carefully. There are other opinions about that, but their opinions are based on speculation, and they are based on somebody's previous opinion going all the way back to Constantine which was a false vision and put us in the wrong location. That's why it's important to study the Bible. Let the Bible be our guide. Don't let everybody's thoughts and ideas and speculations. As we read these passages, you're going to find how important it is for us to put Sinai in the right place. And then the whole wandering in the wilderness of Paran is going to make sense. Later, you're going to see why it's so important for us to put Sinai where it should be. Mount Sinai is the focal point of the people in their wilderness journey, and we need to understand that. May the Lord bless you and give you understanding to put this in the right place.